Welcome to She Wears the Pants, the podcast where women build companies that can hold their calling. I'm your host, Ashley Deland, business advisor, multi-business founder, and startup investor, guiding women to scale with structure, strategy, and self-mastery. Every week, we go behind the scenes of high-growth, women-led brands to talk about the real work, the identity evolution, the leadership required, and the strategy that actually sustains success. If you're ready to build a business and life you love, you're in the right room. So today I am thrilled to welcome a true powerhouse in the world of entrepreneurship and law, Ms. Paige Hulse. As the founder of Paige Hulse Law, Paige is an attorney who empowers business owners with clarity and strategic growth, offering everything from legal expertise to forward-thinking solutions for entrepreneurs. With a deep entrepreneurial spirit rooted in her Oklahoma ranching heritage, Paige is also the mind behind the Creative Law Shop, co-founder of Fairway Stables, and a passionate philanthropist supporting elite special forces through the Special Forces Support Fund. Paige is a trailblazer who is not only reshaping legal support for entrepreneurs, but also redefining what it means to lead with heart and purpose. So Paige, welcome to She Wears the Pants.
Thank you so much, Ashley. I have genuinely, and I don't just flatter people, I've genuinely been so excited for this conversation. And I also just have to laugh about, I appreciate the introduction and the Oklahoma ranching. It's like the start of a bad joke, a Canadian and an Oklahoman walk into the room.
Who could pronounce it better?
It makes me laugh.
I feel very, very blessed to have met you, which was very recently. And for everybody listening, it has been my mission in life to make Paige my new best friend. I bombard her constantly with the question, will you be my BFF forever? I am super elated that you are on here on the show today and that we get to share space and time, because there is no doubt in my mind that everyone is going to fall in love with you so deeply that I did the first time meeting you. So why don't you just start off with telling us a bit about your background and like how you got started in the entrepreneurial world?
Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, something I love so much about you, and one of the reasons why like your podcast is truly one of the only ones one of the few I listen to, is just the real honest conversations. And that's something, just like you were saying, when we met, just being able to being able to sit down at a table with somebody and like just cut through all the fluff and talk about what actually matters is something I really value. So appreciate being here. My, without getting too boring about all of the legal, we can talk about legal stuff, but my actual story with how I got here. I was raised by a family of entrepreneurs. I, however, never wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like, it never crossed my mind. I have never taken a business class in my life. It's completely never was on my radar, but I always wanted to be a lawyer. I grew up listening to my parents talk about what it was like I grew up listening and overhearing, as kids will, some of the, just hard parts of business that would pop up, and the disputes and things like that would pop up. And I always had this connotation in my mind, because I would hear my dad of lawyers, because I would hear my dad say, "Oh, don't worry about it. Steve's got it taken care of," or something like that. So I grew up with this very like romanticized view of what, that all lawyers were advocates, like true advocates.
I love it.
Fast forward, I graduated law school, and I was actually a litigator, being the Okie that I am. I was an oil and gas litigator. And that meant that I was one of 3 women in the state practicing in that area at the time. It took until like a year into practicing before I actually like encountered another woman in the courtroom or in like a negotiation room or anything like that. So it was just it's relevant because it toughens you up in a different type of way. I'll leave it at that. 18 months into, this is a part of the story I don't talk about that often. 18 months into practicing, I woke up one day and ate a bite of a breakfast sandwich and I was on my knees in pain immediately. And I had this moment of not panic, but just an oh no moment, because I knew exactly what it was. My senior year of college, I had been diagnosed. I was one of the first in the country to be diagnosed with a condition called median arcuate ligament syndrome. So I had a ligament tied around the artery that fed all of the blood to my digestive system. And I've mentioned that specifically because I know I've shared about it a couple of times, and I know of at least 4 people who have been able to be diagnosed because they hear what I'm talking about and they hear the name of that syndrome. So my senior year of college, it completely cut off my ability to eat food. I was on a liquid diet. I was losing a pound a day. It got really bad to the point where I'd pass out from pain if I like ate half of a hard-boiled egg. So I had a surgery, a 7-hour surgery. It took 7 surgeons. I had to take all of my organs out. It was horrific. But you're supposed to be able to have that surgery and then you're healed. And the syndrome is gone forever. So when 18 months into practicing, when I recognized that pain again, it was that moment of how could I relapse? This is supposed to be impossible to relapse from. And I just decided to pretend like it wasn't happening for a little while. Continued to be the first one at the office every morning, continued to be in court and just in literally a highly litigious environment every single day, and come up with excuses as to why I couldn't go to the team lunches and things like that. And the secret was I couldn't eat food at all. And so obviously that became obvious a couple months into practicing. And I got really sick. I was sent, and tell me if I'm talking about myself way too much here. I was sent to I was sent to
Yeah,
Mayo
no
Clinic.
big deal. Your organs were taken out.
No, like,
One of
I
4
told you,
people. Not important. Not important.
I'm going to tell you the real story. The real story, because I talk about everything I'm about to talk about. It's not just because of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Paige went through that. The point I'm trying to drive home is that everybody has resiliency within them. It's a matter of how you learn how to tap into it and how you learn how to extract it. So 18 months into practicing, on my husband and I's first wedding anniversary, I was sent to the Mayo Clinic in Arizona. And they pulled me aside and had a closed door meeting with me. My husband was not present. And they said that they thought they misdiagnosed me with something that was going to be fatal. And they said if I didn't have a very serious surgery, that they would estimate, based on how fast I was losing weight, that I had about 90 days, 60 days of a quality of life and 90 days before things got bad. And by that, when you're not eating, your organs are under a lot of stress. And then I don't need to finish the story about what happens there. So they said before they were going to do that surgery, they wanted me to come home and write my estate plan. So I didn't tell my husband this. And I'm married to a financial advisor. And so when I left that appointment, I was like, hey, babe, I think it might be a good idea for our 1-year wedding anniversary. Let's save money and not do gifts. And let's go get our estate plan written instead. He was like, that's brilliant. It was all about
so well.
exactly. And to finish out that story, I did come home. I did write the estate plan, or had my attorneys write the estate plan, and then got a call from Mayo, and they canceled the surgery because they deemed it too risky. The hospital voted, and there was a high chance of fatality with the surgery. And so they said it was unethical to perform. Backtracking for a moment, I had to come home from Mayo a couple days early, right after that conversation, because my opposing counsel in an ongoing case had found out that I was in Scottsdale, again, at the Mayo Clinic. That's not the area of Scottsdale you want to go to. And our firm missed a deadline while I was gone on the case that I was the head attorney of. And he used that to his advantage, and he told the judge that I was missing deadlines because I was just one more millennial that thought she could go take a vacation in Scottsdale and not take the law seriously.
Mhm. He was right
So
on the ball, clearly.
nailed it.
Oh.
So I came home from Mayo Clinic 48 hours after they told me of that 90-day news. I came home and literally went straight to that emergency hearing the judge called. And when that old man walked in the door of the courtroom, he immediately said, "I want every word of what I'm about to say to be on the record." And he just berated me for, it probably wasn't that long, but it felt like it felt like forever. And I literally felt something snap within me. And it wasn't even anger. It was like I passed the point of anger within a minute. It was like my brain was processing on a higher, on a higher level than that. And something inside me physically snapped. And I knew that that was not how I was going to live the rest of my life. No matter what the rest of my life meant, that wasn't what it was going to look like. And I left court that day, not knowing exactly what that meant, but just knowing that everything had changed after that moment. To finish out that story, this was that was the end of 2016. My little sister was getting married 96 days after my technical 90-day deadline set by Mayo Clinic. And so I just made it my literal life goal to get to her, to be at her wedding. And as an aside with all of this, to counterbalance the stress of A, being a litigator, B, literally starving to death at the same time, and C, when you're starving to death, you don't have energy to do anything else. I I picked up a creative hobby of calligraphy and would just come home every day and would just kind of get lost in my own thoughts, just calligraphing. It was a good, not just creative expression, but an outlet for me. And that was the time of my life when all of my friends were getting married as well. So it accidentally turned into a little bit of a business. And I just kind of used it I didn't really think too much about that part of it then. We got through my sister's wedding and it got so much worse from that point forward. I won't go into too many more details about that, but I will say that when you are that sick and when you're starving to death, or when you know that every day when you wake up, you will have 1% less energy than you did the day before, it changes your brain in a way that I don't think anything else can. And I was talking to somebody who experienced something similar just last week, and he immediately knew what I was talking about, because in a way it's oddly peaceful. And I know that might sound weird, but it makes you prioritize. It cuts out any time, or literally like you don't have the caloric energy to waste time or to do anything fluffy. It cuts out any of the fluff in your relationships. It makes you become so highly prioritize so much the people in your life above everything else, not just how you spend your days, but how you treat the people around you, and just the people that you care about, that it's almost tranquil because you don't have to wonder if you're wasting time. Like, you reach that point and you're making the most of literally getting every single ounce out of life that you possibly can. And it's just, again, it's a weird adjective to use, but it's oddly peaceful to have that type of clarity. So fast forwarding from, because I know that can get a little bit heavy to talk about.
Right? Everybody has their own story, as we were talking about prior to recording. Everybody has their own trauma, and we almost are, in my opinion, we're just blessed with what we need to learn in this lifetime in order, again, my opinion, to ascend into a new soul, into a new level. So this was just, it's almost like every day you were losing a little bit of your physical body, but stepping into something so much deeper on like a mental and spiritual level, which, I mean, it's completely fascinating. This
Yeah, take it for what take it for what it's worth. I have and this was without an ounce of arrogance behind it. This is just a fact. I have mental toughness that I know is impenetrable.
Mhm.
And I have that, I call it, it's like a citadel in my brain when it comes to mental toughness. And I very literally, obviously I'm not facing those types of challenges every day now, although that condition does relapse every couple years. So every couple years I am facing it, but that shows up in my everyday life. I have the mental toughness that gave me it was the best thing that ever happened to me,
Mhm.
because I literally now, unless it is very hard to get me flustered, very hard to get me actually mad about something, like actually angry about anything, because in my mind, if it's not going to kill me, I'm going I'm going to power through it. It's just a matter of choosing to do it. But it's realizing that word right there, choice. I mean, people use it as a cliche, but you choose. You choose when you're in a position like that. You choose to either let it kill you or hold on and refine a little bit more every day.
Yeah, you have earned the honor and the badge of being one tough bitch for sure. That is it. That's what I literally said in my podcast. I was like, I am one tough bitch. Like it is really hard to push me over. And I see that in you, right? That's that greatness sees greatness. I see a lot. And probably why I'm so attracted to you as like a human being, because I 100% see that in you. And even like beyond that, you have had just so many other occurrences happen since then, right? Like you got shoved off your beautiful so for listeners, Paige is like such, I don't know, like talk about an American dream life. And I think of Paige with her beautiful pictures of her horse farm and just like even the backdrop, you're just like you are the American dream. But I mean, those beautiful horses kicked you off of them, right? Very recently.
Well, I'm sitting here looking at said horse literally right outside my window. And to defend his honor, he did not kick me off. He did not do anything wrong. Last September, a snake bit him while we were riding and he flipped on top of me. And that was almost a really bad deal. But yeah, jokes aside, he didn't do anything wrong. I would have freaked out if a snake bit me too. But I mean, it kind of going back to what we were talking about a little bit. It seems silly. I run my law practice literally I built this house so that I have all of my windows looking over the pastures and looking at the horses, because I don't care at all about like notoriety. Those types of things that a lot of people can get hung up on just don't matter to me. And I guarantee you they don't matter to the horses. There's a richness of life that I'm always going to be pursuing because of what I've been through. That again, I say genuinely, it is the best thing that's ever happened to me, because I think a lot of people don't realize this definition of a richness of life until they're hopefully, decades, decades older, and then they realize it a little bit too late.
And it is really the sense of power of turning the trauma into the blessings, right? Like
Exactly.
a lot of
Yeah.
people have the ability to overcome them, as you were saying, or to sit in them and sit into that victimhood. And it literally can pivot your entire life if you allow yourself to sit in those belief systems. And I love the way that you said it is redefined the way that you view your life and that you live your life, because now what I hear is that it's all about peace and tranquility, richness, relationships. Is there anything else I'm missing?
No, other than a lot of really hard work. It's a
Sure.
lot of
Yeah.
a lot of grit. And yeah, when it comes to a lot of people look at everything that I'm doing and I look a little bit psychotic because I have a lot going on and I know I'm in good company.
What's that like?
No, it has nothing to do with shiny object syndrome or chasing people. A lot of people get confused by that and think that, oh, you're just trying to achieve one more thing. It has nothing to do with that. It's a matter of I want to work hard. I want to work hard every day so that when I take the time to rest, I rest as thoroughly as as hard as I work. And when I go to bed at night, I know that there's integrity behind what I do every day. And there's integrity behind, I will, if I died tomorrow, I would die knowing I did everything that I could.
Mhm.
Like I've emptied the tank.
Yep,
And
exactly.
that's, yeah. And that's just how I would not be able to find peace if I wasn't able to say that. Like that's kind of my inner compass.
Did this passion of being of service to people, which is very predominant that I see in you, is that what led you to kind of create all of your different entities? The creative law shop, Fairway Stables, obviously, that was the basis behind the Special Forces Support Fund. Do you find it hard to manage all of these? They're no longer passion projects, they're full entities. Do you find it hard to manage all of that while still keeping your values in check?
No, I like that question though.
No.
I like that question. And don't get me wrong, I mean, we all get off track in business, which I think is a separate topic than what you're talking about. But it's everything I do comes from such a true, there's such a true North Star. Nothing is arbitrary. Nothing at all is arbitrary. This is why I mentioned the calligraphy when I was talking about my kind of sob story about how I got into entrepreneurship. I kept up that calligraphy. I hit like day 100 and I was like, what in the world? Why am I still here? And it was like day 115. I was driving to a deposition hours away, and I was somewhere in the middle of Oklahoma. And I had actually I had gotten to the point where I had gotten so fixated on calligraphy at that point that I actually had some like pieces of drawing on my dashboard as I was driving to this deposition. Hit it before any of the other lawyers saw it. But that it was driving to that deposition. I literally remember exactly what mile marker I was on. And I just thought to myself, because I couldn't reconcile that moment in the courtroom. I couldn't figure that out. And that bugged me. That really bugged me. And it hit me like a lightning bolt. Like, well, if I'm still here, so what am I going to do with it, literally with this one life? And it just hit me. I was going to start my law firm. And so there was a very specific reason, obviously, with starting the firm. And that was, I wanted to be able to show up as an advocate every day, like I talked about earlier, and just practice law on my terms. The creative law shop came soon afterwards, not because I ever intended I never intended to have any type of shop or like product or anything like that. Because to me, like advocacy and a product based business are like not that they aren't immediately reconcilable in my brain, even though they actually are in practice. But I recognized that creative entrepreneurs, especially at the time, did not have, there was a huge gap, not just a gap in the market, but attorneys, my colleagues literally did not know what I was talking about when I said the words creative entrepreneur. They did not know what that was. When I left to start my firm, my boss said that he would hold my job for me when I failed because
Oh,
the
okay.
people I wanted to help weren't out there. And I was like, thanks.
So someone
So,
who
yeah, so kind. But my point being, I didn't just like start the shop because it was one more thing I wanted to check off. It was a just exposed. It was one of those things where once I saw the need, I couldn't unsee it.
Mhm.
And so that's that's how that was born. And I can get into the iteration of where it's at now, because I think it's important to also recognize that even though someone listening to this, you might not have had I pray to God no one listening to this has had the experience I've had. And it sounds so extreme, and it was extreme. And so it can come across the wrong way when you ask me questions like that. And I can just say, no, I know exactly the purpose behind every single thing that I'm doing. And I never it never even falters in my mind whatsoever. It can sound like I'm coming across as saying I have it all figured out. And obviously that is not true. But even though you know the purpose behind your work, and you know the integrity behind your work, and you know your priorities and all of that, business evolves. And I think I would argue every business model evolves, and figuring out how to realign that integrity that you've hopefully refined within yourself to evolve along with
Right.
like market evolution. I think that's the true entrepreneur's game. And that's where I would defer to somebody like like you more so. But that's something I've kind of recently discovered in more depth in the last couple of years.
I always find a narrative that people don't discuss often is that failure within the first year of businesses more or less isn't because their business wasn't succeeding or they weren't doing the fundamental things that needed to grow. It was actually they themselves were not evolving fast enough alongside their business. A lot of people don't realize that you have to become different, higher versions of yourself while you grow your business and you have to keep up. And
Yeah.
some people are not willing to, again, push through those boundaries. They're not willing to get unstuck. And that
Mhm.
really holds them back for all of the success that they were destined and determined for within this lifetime. So that moment when you were like, that's it. I'm taking everything into my own hands. Just to give like tangible takeaways for people, what were like the main things that you focused on from going almost like what we would say going from corporate to entrepreneurship? What was the main things that you really focused on to take that leap?
I at first I kept my plans to myself for a little bit.
Yep. Work silently, always.
Yeah, exactly. I studied and studied and studied first and foremost. I believe I actually have this like written on the footer of our shop website. I put it as placeholder text and then I forgot to take it off. Um, but there just a personal motto of the information's out there. It's just a matter of you have to just go out and find it. Um, I had no idea, obviously, how to start a law firm, like at all. Had never talked to anybody that had ever done that. Um, didn't know, like I just didn't know how, again, had never taken a business class, etc. And so I studied everything I could find. I studied everything that I guess you would say potential clients, like all of the content that everybody was putting out, and started tracing patterns in terms of just the needs, the repeated needs that kept exposing themselves. Um, and then honestly, it was just a matter of networking is definitely the wrong word. But getting myself in the room and making connections with good people. And I'm not talking about like I'm not talking about like trying to befriend the influencer. That's not at all what I'm talking about. I'm talking about getting in rooms and some of my friends that I still to this day, 8 years later, fly across the country to see. No one will ever even know. No one, no one will ever know that like we don't monetize that friendship, I guess is my point.
Right.
But just building true relationships with other people who are in the same wild ride. Because I mean, the challenges are different every day, and it takes that true community, I think, to stay sane. So I don't know if that's not the most polished answer, but that's really, I
Yeah.
look back like, thank goodness I was so naive to just do it. Like, I'm shocked at this
Oh
point.
gosh, you have to be absolutely a little crazy to be an entrepreneur in the first place. And all you did was the exact right steps, right? You saw the need, the repetitive need, and you built a solution for that problem. And that's exactly how you become successful in entrepreneurship.
Exactly. And just again, and I know I've said it already, but being willing to continue to evolve while you're in it.
Mhm.
Because after, especially, it was interesting. I wrote about this a little bit last year. I hit that, you hear all the stats about how many businesses fail at year 5 and like blah, blah, blah. I hit the 5-year mark and I was secretly like, I haven't wanted to quit yet. I think things must be going pretty well. And it was between years 6 and 7, I almost lost everything. It
Mm.
was the worst year of my entire like business career, my entire business life. Caught me completely off guard. My point being with that is I think I got a little bit too used to, again, mental toughness and resiliency aren't my problem, but making sure that you take time to maintain that 10,000 foot perspective of your market is and your
Talk
team?
to, talk to us about, yeah, and the team, definitely talk to us about that because we definitely have 6, 7, 8 founder females that are listening to this. And that's something a lot of us can put our hands up and be like, oh my gosh, me too. When you do not, I always say like macro view this, micro view it, macro, micro. So what's your perspective of the 10,000 foot?
Oh my gosh, it's so hard. It's something that obviously naturally, like it comes naturally to a visionary. My big business takeaway from almost losing everything was sometimes you have to face the hard reality that your team isn't evolving and growing at your same pace. And that's where a lot of the that's what makes you get stuck in the micro zone, I think a little bit too long, or at least it did for me. I have to like literally cancel. I have to make time right now, especially this is another very like crossroads moment business wise for me. And this is when I need to be in that 10,000 foot perspective more than I ever have. And right now it's freaking hard because it's one of the we're just absolutely it's just a busy time for a lot of reasons. And so anytime, this is my little my little secret, anytime you ever see me randomly post a video like riding my horse or doing something like that outside, that's not just because I'm riding my horse. I have to take time like that and get myself like immerse myself in something gets me out of my own head or gets me out of myself to take the time to be able to examine everything from a macro perspective. I have to, for me, because that can also sound pretty abstract, but for me, I am very in tune with my intuition, and it can be frustrating when your intuition feels out of alignment. But what I've learned over the last couple of years in particular is I've learned to be really patient and get real quiet and real still when my intuition feels off, because you don't always, unfortunately, you don't always have those lightning bolt moments. If only it was as easy as that day I was driving to the deposition. Sometimes it takes a year of just silent frustration and honestly resentment built up to force you to start thinking crazy. And sometimes that's what pushes you into the next level.
I love that. The silent stillness is so underrated. It really, really is. Yours is your horse is in nature, and mine is definitely stepping deep into nature when I feel like I'm throwing spaghetti at a wall and nothing's sticking. Just like, okay, that means that I am like you, very intuitively guided on even accepting clients as one to one because it's such an intimate container. Like if I get any red flags, it's an easy no for me. But when that is off, my whole life is off. My business is off, my relationships are off, my marriage is off. And that's something that it's an alignment thing. So I couldn't agree more. Like stillness, silence, daily toolbox that I need to tap into for sure.
I look at it like I was a college athlete, and so I look at it as that mentality of active recovery. Essentially, like it's part of the process, and it's also been interesting as well. And this might sound a little bit wild too, but through the Special Forces Support Fund, I've gotten to know a lot of the Special Forces soldiers that we support. Gotten to know them pretty well, and having had some, you want to talk about some like gritty conversations. We've had some really gritty conversations, but something that's so interesting to me about being around people like that is those are some of the world's most elite, like the elite of the elite of the elite. And they will prioritize, any of them listening to this would probably get kind of mad at me for phrasing it this way, but they'll prioritize play. They'll prioritize just goofing off and resting just as much as they will their training, because it is part of the training. And
Yes.
that's watching that has been a good reminder to me from a humility standpoint of it's not actually about just, you don't have to feel like integrity with your day isn't a matter of how much you could grind during the day.
Right.
Sometimes it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, sometimes it's how much you can let go and form connection and literally build community and be of service because I think a lot of people in entrepreneurship forget that we are entrepreneurs to be of service first and foremost. And it's actually not the monetary, it's not the success, it's not the accolades or the credentials. It's literally because we love people and we want to solve their problems like that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's been interesting now. It's been interesting now watching. So again, I've hit the 8-year mark business wise, and so I've seen like two. I feel like I've seen like 2 cycles
Mhm.
of business owners who have cycled out, and that's a whole other conversation. But it's interesting the people who are quote unquote still around. It's because of exactly what you just said. It's a matter of if you, one of my very first clients ever said this to me, and I repeat it anytime I have these types of conversations, but good people recognize good people. And it's just as simple as that.
Yeah. What has been like the most empowering decision that you have made in your business to date? 8 years is nothing to blink at. So, was there like besides I mean, I guess you've dropped a few of them, but what would you say is one takeaway that someone can be like, that was a really empowering decision for her that made her so successful?
That's an interesting question. And I would like to, like, I will personally revisit that question in a couple of months because again, I feel like I'm at a crossroads moment again. I would say walking away from business relationships that it's a hard way to phrase this. Walking away from business relationships that maybe could have brought the influence, had the shortish term benefit, but recognizing like toxicity
Right.
when it exists and being willing to walk away and just be the unknown person who's doing the right thing and working with good people every day and willing to be completely off the radar doing it. That would be, if I can be liberal enough to make this a 2-part answer, that would be part 1. Part 2 would be literally this time last year, going back to that feeling of being out of integrity business wise. I took a very calculated risk, but I gambled literally everything to transform one of my companies that I think just to match again the market evolution, and knowing that it could very well be I could have just wasted a whole year and all of my savings, but it's in alignment. I don't know if those are if those are good answers to your questions, but
They are. I'm lucky enough to know the longer version behind that decision. But I think it was, well, when we first met at that Maison event, I'll definitely name drop there. At Maison, we like were instantly attracted to one another and we just like talked all about that cycle of influence and all about the big decisions that we really got to the point. Really the big decisions that we have made in our lives and how it comes up if we're lucky, maybe once or twice in a business lifetime to risk it all, right? Because really, that's what keeps us alive, and that's kind of the good stuff. And
exactly.
we hope and pray that it goes well, and for your case, it has, and it'll only get even more successful. So I think that that might be the biggest is there is risk, and sometimes it's really worth it. It's worth it to put it all on the table and to give up the year and to see, was it worth the risk or are you willing to sit in the what if forever?
And it be monotonous every day in between, because to your point, those opportunities in a market don't occur that often in a business life cycle. So you have to be disciplined and ready to take action. And that discipline comes from the monotonous every day
Mhm.
doing the right thing, showing up. I mean, just all the things I don't need to explain to you. Just
All
because
right.
every day is so flashy doesn't mean it's not important.
Exactly. I know, right? It's very true. I'm going to wrap it up with our signature she wears the pants question. Looking back on your journey of wearing the pants, what message do you want to relay for future generations of women in business?
If you are, especially if you are in an industry that has always done something the same way, in a very traditional industry, and it just doesn't feel in alignment with who you are, it is always a choice. It is a choice to stay, or it is a choice to explore what other options are out there. But again, stripping all cliche away from that word, everything is a choice. and how you choose to view what you do as a vocation versus a job, that's going to change your life.
I love that. You cannot desire what you don't already contain, right? And if somebody is in that industry and it's not landing with them, it's because maybe they're meant to rewrite the rules of business and of success. So
Exactly.
love that. Where can people find you and learn more about you and start to follow you now?
So the law firm is at paigehulselaw.com. You can find me at paigehulse.com, and then you can find the creative law shop at shopcreativelaw.com. I laugh because I've been wiped off of Instagram 4 times this year.
I
So
know.
you may or may not be able to find me at paige.hulse on Instagram.
Literally, since I've met you, you've already been hacked with a new account. I'm like, damn, Instagram has got it on for you.
Editor coming after me.
Yeah,
I know.
it is.
Yeah.
That's thank you so much for your time, Paige. You are such a blessing, and I don't take it lightly that you shared that story with us and parts of it for the first time. So it is an honor to have you on this podcast. It's always an honor to be in your presence, and I'm a true girl fan.
Thank you so much. It's so good to see you, Ashley.
Good to see you.
This was She Wears the Pants, where women rise into what they're meant to hold. If this episode moved you, changed you, or challenged you, send it to a woman you want to see rise. Make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. And if you're ready for deeper strategy, identity expansion, and high-level support, you can find me on Instagram at Ashley Deland. Until next time, keep leading boldly, building intentionally, and becoming the woman your calling requires.